as a kid in Pennsylvania, you know, deep rural America. I did everything: drawings, sculptures, poems, World War II etchings. That's what I did in my house. I made things that were colorful and beautiful and violent, too. Now I take photographs and paint over them as a way to interpret them my way, backwards. So when I work on a film like Dolls vs. Dictators, I do usually 2 years research and then a year making the film. As my own learning tool, I would put the dictator, and at the top I write the particular country that goes with the particular dictator, that goes with the particular dolls. That's actually miles long. And then I'm working through it sequentially, because my films are made with all in-camera edits. There's no editing. I don't even think of myself as a filmmaker per se. I'm really just seeing the idea and I'm seeing the images. And the film is totally secondary. Meet Me in Wichita is bringing the war into the living room. The combination of The Wizard of Oz and The Hunt for Bin Laden. You know, originally, The Wizard of Oz was a political, allegorical story, and characters had specific political meaning. The Tin Man was the industrial urban worker. The Scarecrow was the Midwestern farmer. Online, I found pictures of Americans at home dressing up in different roles of The Wizard of Oz. They became the characters. For instance, this was a Wicked Witch puppet. Bin Laden plays all the parts in the film, so he's at one moment the Scarecrow, and at one moment the Tin Man, and at the next moment, Oz. That's his power. Bin Laden's power is the fantasy of him. So I thought, well, isn't that kind of what this hunt for Bin Laden is? This total mix of fantasy and politics. They were pumping the illusion of this man so much. Triumph of the Wild I made using color schemes set to different wars throughout American history. Our sentimental idea of the American Revolution is very red, white, and blue. Our sentimental idea of Vietnam is green, it's muddy. In World War II, it's gray and rusty greens and browns. So the palette is easy to get into, but the subject matter is not. I really did a lot of research, and what I found was that in post-traumatic stress therapy, sometimes they'll take a blank mask and they'll have to decorate this mask, you know, to give an idea of how they feel. I would take pictures of those masks and literally put them into the film, so they became the face of the soldier dying in my film. I have friends who have been to Afghanistan, and you know, I grew up around Vietnam War veterans, and it's everywhere. It's people surrounding me. When it starts to infiltrate your own life, then you do something about it. Destiny Manifesto, that's an example of using the visual motifs of the American West, which were these diminishing skylines, these diminishing points, you know, this expanse, like the dream of America. You find in photographs from Iraq the same thing, but instead of convoys of wagons, they're convoys of tanks. You get to think about, why is that dissolving into this? Why is this morphing into that? Rather than like the news where it's just chop, 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 chop. Absorb that image, that image, that image, that image of the war. There's your impression. And no one's left to think, why did that turn into that? There is a lot about resurrection. That's what animation is. To resurrect the dead to the living. That becomes part of the filmmaking process. That becomes part of the metaphors in the film.